Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. Today we have some more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted with
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASI strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.
It's another beautiful day right here. A very wonderful good morning to all our viewers out there. This is Global Morning on Global Television, reaching you live and direct from the nation's capital, Abuja, Nigeria. My name is Ramsey Enoch. Happy weekend. Well, the weekend has come again. People are still recovering from the celebration. The celebration is not over yet. I was telling someone a few days ago, and that a lot of people didn't get to attend events like it used to be. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. You may be thinking something different, but then I know it's not far from the economy, the challenging economy. It may not be far from it, but I'm not saying it's totally because of that. Maybe some persons couldn't find their way, maybe couldn't meet the timeline, and maybe some persons didn't get the yes I do. Some persons may not get the engagement ring and all of that. Maybe that's the reason we don't have a lot of marriages this period I just passed, the festive season. You know, December, a lot of people will tell you, yes, I'm traveling with my family, I'm coming back with something. You know, Nigeria is a place that has people from different tribes and tongues, and people want to travel, and somebody will tell you, all right, I'm coming with one very good diet that we have in my place, my local food, I'm coming with it. Oh, how many tubers of yam would you want me to come with? I'm going to Benue State, I'm going to Taraba State. But all of that didn't happen this period, and the reason is because a lot of people didn't even travel in the first place. But then it's so good to have you join us on Global Morning today. It's a promising day, and I want to assure you that on Global Morning today we will be looking at two topical issues. And don't forget that we must get started with the national dailies, the headlines. What are the papers saying? You deserve to know what's happening around you, and that's what Global Television brings to your doorstep on a daily basis. Every day, 247, we are right here to keep you informed as it has to do with news and current affairs, even though we have all the programs that are entertainment inclined, business inclined, and all of that, economy inclined. Well, health inclined too. As a matter of fact, we are going to be here until 10 o'clock, and I'm going to be the driver. I'm going to be steering the affairs of Global Morning today. All alone, but it's so good that you are right there. How is the fuel situation around your vicinity? A lot of people are already overcoming the situation. Someone said, well, the price of the PMS, the petroleum product, the gas, you know, and diesel seems to be increasing by the day. There was a little reduction in the price of fuel, but then what about the gas? I wanted to get new gas yesterday, and to my amazement, I was told that a kg is 1,400 naira. Okay, and I was surprised. If you are using a cylinder that is 12.5 kg in Nigeria right now, for you to fill it, you'll be spending as much as 16,000 plus just to get it filled. Then you begin to ask questions. This is a necessity. Nigerians need this because we must cook, of course, and people no longer, especially in the city, people don't use firewood, except for the people in the village. Even the people in the village right now, Nigeria is becoming a global and digital world that people don't use firewood like it used to be in the past, because before now, even in the city, we have some places where people use firewood. But then the economy of the nation, the situation right now has forced a lot of people to do so many things that they wouldn't have done ordinarily. But then I think the very good thing is that the economy is promising. We can see global leaders coming to visit Nigeria. We just had someone visit Nigeria from China a few days ago. And of course, this has to do with diplomatic relations. And it's so good that a nation is having good relationship with other nations. One thing about this diplomatic relationship is the fact that you lean on me, I lean on you, and we keep the countries, the nations moving forward. But then it's so important to also note that terrorism and insecurity has been something that has driven a lot of people out of their houses, out of business, and even out of the country, because a lot of people are moving out of the country on a daily basis. The president, I could remember when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu assumed office, one of the first thing he addressed, part of the first thing, I beg pardon, that he addressed is the issue of the brain drain, the issue of Jagba doctors are leaving, skilled workers, professionals are leaving the country. And you know what it means for a struggling economy when people are leaving, people who are supposed to contribute to economic development. If they are leaving, you know what it means, because the strength of every nation is the working class, all right? The working class of every country, especially the youths, which they said are the life wire of every nation. The youths are the life wire of every nation, because they still have the capacity, their strength is intact, their mental capacity is intact. We're not saying the aged, the elderly ones are not mentally okay. They are, but level of intelligence, there are some things that you can do as a youth that from 50, 40, you find it very difficult to do those things, especially from 50, 60, 70 upwards. And that's the reason we will keep saying the youth of every nation should be engaged, all right? Proper engagement will go a long way helping the economy of the nation. How involving are the youths of Nigeria? I'm not talking about political involvement, which, even though political involvement is paramount, is very important, it's essential for youth to participate in politics, because there is nowhere, it's not written anywhere that public offices, all right, must be for people above 60 or 50, as the case may be. The youths can also vie, not too young to run. Very, very important. Let's give it a try. Inclusiveness is very important. If an elderly person assumes office, okay, a political office, there is nothing bad if you have youths in your cabinet bringing their strength, okay, forward, to play, to move things, because what every nation needs is the capacity, all right, to enforce certain developmental activities. And the youths are drivers, are major drivers in this project. As a matter of fact, Nigeria is a big nation. Nigeria is so endowed, like we all know, okay? We are endowed agriculturally, we are endowed, all right? We have natural resources everywhere. And apart from petroleum, which a lot of people have given so much attention, we have other areas that we can really explore. Then let's get digital a little bit. ICT, tech. Tech is one area that a lot of countries are taking advantage of right now. A lot of developed countries are taking advantage of the tech world. And it would be a different thing if this nation also give it credence, if they actually give it attention. it will go a long way, all right, helping the nation grow. The youths are ready because a lot of people are there, but then the enabling environment is not there. We're not saying the government is not trying. The government is trying, but there is an environment that can make thriving smoother than it is right now. What are the business owners doing? Business owners, let me say this before we go to the major headlines for the day. Sometimes you don't know that every single person rendering any form of service in every country matters. Take for instance, the motorcyclists, all right, if they are off the road, people must commute, as a matter of fact. If the taxis are off the road, you know what will happen. People won't get to their offices, as a matter of fact. Even civil servants won't be able to get to their workplaces if these taxis are not on the road. That means they are very important. All right, what if the people who sell sachet water on the street are not there when you are thirsty, or maybe probably your radiator is heated, your car engine is hot, and maybe you need to put water in the radiator. Sometimes you see people calling those people selling sachet water to just get water to make sure they move from that location to where they will put their car in place. So in one way or the other, everyone in the society matters. Even the people who move from house to house to say, okay, dustbin, that move your dirt, the dirty in your house, to go throw it away. They matter. If they are not there, the dirt will be there. Some people don't even know where they go dispose these things until today, till tomorrow. They don't know. But then you give them something and they do this for you. These are services rendered in different capacities. What am I trying to say? If you are a lawyer, if you are an engineer, if you are a doctor, if you are a broadcaster, whoever and whatever you are doing in this country, we should know that unity is paramount. We need to be united so that there can be unity in diversity. You're bringing your expertise to the table and bringing mine to the table. By so doing, we would be able to move the economy forward, even though if it's not going to be the speed may not be too much, may not be too high. The acceleration level might not be too noticeable, but as a matter of fact, there is an acceleration. That's what it's important right now. So the issue of, well, I am not a doctor, I'm a lawyer, so I don't have any business with a doctor. Or in fact, whatever the doctor want to do, they should do it. Okay, whatever the lawyers want to do, they should do it. Whatever broadcasters want to do, they should do it. Nobody should look down on anybody as a people, as a nation. And if you are in government office, you should also know that one day you will get out of that place. That's the reason you need to develop your local government. You need to develop your state, because one day you will go back to that state. One day you go back to that local government. One day you go back to that constituency, so that when you go, people will not throw stones at you, and people will not say, when he was there, we had the worst regime. Okay, so we should try our best. Wherever you find yourself, in your office, in your working place, whatever you're doing, make sure you do it well. What's doing well. It's either you are doing it well or you don't do it at all. There is no need for mediocrity. It's not the best. Whatever your hand finds to do it very well. All right, that's it. So this morning we'll be looking at the major headlines. Let's see what the papers are saying. After this break, I'll bring you the major headlines for the day. Stay with us.
is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Welcome back now to the pages of the newspaper as we get started with the Daily Independent newspaper this morning. A Saturday Independent, I beg your pardon, and the big story says deplorable state of Nigerian roads, horrible movement of persons and goods. We have some riders to that story, and the first rider says travelers risk accident, attack by bandits and robbers. Then this one also says numerous police roadblocks night marriage. Legislator is the one saying that. Umahi blames contractor for delays in road projects. This headline is saying Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Flush bandit out of Oyo. Makinde charges military. One rider to that story, Afenifere challenges Southwest government to take actionable steps. Dirty December, how businesses recorded 25% profit increase at 2024 Yuletide. That's the report coming right here. This one says rebasing. Analysts see drop in GDP ratios, inflation amid food housing cuts. Just one rider to that story, NBS to raise ICT, health and education value. Moving away from the Saturday Independent, let's quickly go to the Saturday Tribune, where we have this story above the nameplate, and it says 10 dies in Kaduna Road accident. Internet fraud is the kicker of this story, and the story says EFCC nabbs 4 Chinese nationals, 101 others. Police confirm 21 killed in bandit attack on Katsina community. And now to the big story on the Saturday Tribune. Fear of terrorism grips Southwest. Some riders to that story. Abuja court reminds 10 for planning Boko Haram in Oshun. Alright. Oyo approves Owode as new Alafin of Oyo State. Federal government, US, sign agreement on return of the Zionists $52.88 million loot. Details you can find on page 4. Well, as at yesterday, was it yesterday or a day before yesterday, I was talking about the fact that if all the money recovered from looters is being put into the economy or maybe into infrastructure investments by the government, it's going to go a long way, all right, salvaging the current situation that we are facing right now. This is huge. $52.88 million recovered from the Ziani. All right, appeal court orders retrial of Kano Emirship case. I'll keep saying this. I think, I don't know what happened, but then before now, if you want to talk about traditional rulers, they are held at a very high esteem. But then mingling into politics is one of the things that have really watered down the image, all right, and the pedigree of traditional rulers today. Unlike before, you see governors run into traditional rulers, okay? But today, traditional rulers are running to governors. Governors are handling cases of traditional rulers. The Emirship tussle in Kano State is not over yet, and that's where the situation is at the moment. And that's going to be the size of the headlines from the Saturday Independent. Let's move to the next paper. I beg your pardon, from a Saturday Tribune. Let's quickly move to a Saturday. All right, let's quickly move to the Nigerian, the Blueprint, I beg your pardon. Nigerians stumped down Telecor's push for tariff hike. It says they are extorting us. Okay, that's from the Blueprint. Then above the nameplate, I have this headline, which says A federal government US signed asset return accord for repatriation of $52.88 million. That's the Ziani loot. A lot of money being looted from this country, and we're trying to see where this money is. Reason says increments a burden to many on Nigerians. This one is coming from NATCOM. No justification for tariff increase. The telecom sector on brink of collapse. Alton is the one saying that. Then another story is still from the blueprint 2025. That's the kicker. INEC rejects $40 billion allocation, proposed 126 billion naira. One writer to that story, and the writer says election in Nigeria have become huge burden. Moving away from there, on page 16, this story says that Governor Makinde approves Prince Abimbola Akim Awede as new Alafin of Oyo. Local equity market closes in bearish run shares 49 billion naira. And finally, this one says Tinubu departs Abuja to Abu Dhabi for Sustainability Summit, and that will be happening today. And that's the size of the headlines from the Blueprints Weekend. Moving away from the Blueprints Weekend, let's get to Saturday Times, where the big story says humanitarian crisis. That is the kicker of the story. Then the major story says UN Deputy Secretary General visit Nigeria, discusses challenges with Minister Notawe Yelwata. This one says 3 dead, 5 injured in Syria mosque stampede. Stampede happening in Syria. 2. Aviation PS. Ghana pledges support for Nimet. That's still on the Saturday Times. Then this one says Makinde to increase new Alafin of Oyo, to coronate, I beg your pardon. Then finally from here, Chloe Bailey addresses Burna Boy dating rumors. I had best time. That's on the entertainment scene. Then before we go on break and return with the big story for today, let's quickly look at this one. And this is the Nation's newspaper, where the big story says Edum Tinubu's reform saved Nigeria 930 billion naira drive recovery. Edum is the one saying this. The coordinating minister of the economy, Wale Edum, has said Tinubu's reform saves Nigeria 930 billion naira drive recovery. Okay. This one says, just one rider to that story. Let me take the rider before I go to the next story. The rider says AGF launches aggressive revenue drive to tackle shortfall. Kidnapper twins, how we adopt our victims, dismember their bodies for sale. Twins, kidnapper twins. Then one rider to that story, parts also used for torture soap, magic powder. All right, future fortune soap. Oh, okay. This one says Obasanjo, that's the kicker. I landed in jail because I couldn't keep my mouth shut. That's the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria saying this. He said he landed in jail because he didn't keep his mouth shut. One thing that the former president is known for is that he is a vocal person. If you meet him anytime, any day, he speaks, all right? And anytime he speaks, everyone will know that President Olusegun Obasanjo retired. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo have actually spoken. All right, he is saying he landed in jail because he couldn't keep his mouth shut. And that's the size of the headlines. Okay, let me take this. Appeal court vacates order nullifying Sanusi's appointment as Emir of Kano. One rider to that story, orders rehearing bars Federal High Court from diving into the Emirates Tazo. Okay, And that's that on the headlines for today. The final paper is the Punch newspaper. Wave of terror. New attacks plunge 10 states into anxiety. The writer to that story says ISWAP suspects arrests during bomb training in Ilesa, Osun State. ISWAP suspects arrested during bomb training in Ilesa, that's Osun State. Kano throne. Emir Sanusi secure victory against Bayero as appeal court upturns Justice Liman's verdict. Okay, that's on the Punch newspaper. Subscribers demand telco's service overhaul ahead of tariff hike. If you are increasing the tariff, then your services should be commendable. Your services should match up with what you are really collecting. That's what Nigerians are saying, and that's what subscribers are saying this morning. And finally, from the Punch newspaper, Obasanjo is saying corruption is responsible for Africa's debt burden. And that's going to be the size of the headlines for today. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll be looking at the first conversation for the day. Stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues,
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues,
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Many thanks for staying with us on Global Television this morning. This is Global Morning, and now it's time for the first conversation. The first conversation for the day is about the impact. We have a lot of unions in Nigeria. We have the Students' Union, we have pressure groups, we have a lot of associations. But then, one thing is very, very important, and the benefit of these unions. Some of these unions are actually put up for personal benefit, some for political reasons, some are being used as a tool. But then, Nigerians are so inquisitive to know if these unions contribute to nation building. What's the role of the union in national development? Very important. One of the things that everyone is actually looking forward to is national development. Everyone wants to be developed, but then whose responsibility it is? Whose responsibility is it bringing this development to the table? I will have my guest joining me on the conversation this morning, all the way from Kogi State, Noah Gada. He is the General Secretary, of the National Association of Polytechnic Students, that is NAPS. As at yesterday, we heard that NANS was going to embark on a protest. Later on, we heard that I think there was a disclaimer to that effect. Yesterday I was asking, and someone said, is that the responsibility of the National Association of Nigerian Students? We have another union leader here today to talk to us about the impact of these unions in national development. Good morning, Agada Noah, for joining us, and thank you for joining us on Global Morning today.
Good morning, sir.
All right, it's good to have you. Happy New Year to you.
Compliment of the season.
Thank you. Let's get to talk about union. You are a union leader. Why do we have unions in the first place?
The union, in the formulation of unions, is meant to protect the interests of her members. We have the trade union, the labor union, the student union, as the case may be, in which category we tend to fall in. And in the student union, it is formed basically for the protection of student welfare and all other related issues as it affects the Nigerian students.
Some people believe that these unions are easily manipulated, and some of this union, apart from this definition that you've given, that they are meant to defend the interests of the people, there is this belief by some Nigerians that these unions are being used by political office holders. Why is it like that?
Well, it is not a fact. I will refer to be a stereotype, because people do not just form an organization or a union just for to be used. That is aims and objective, the purpose of forming the union. And when the movement begins, people always think that in the union movement, it is a science approach. It must be a one-directional approach. No, in the union we have the consultation, consolidation, and the confrontation. So in the operations of the union, we first of all go with the consultation aspect of it, and that's where people think that because they perceive an issue, it should also be an issue to the union without even knowing the full details of it. So we should strike or move into action or start confrontation. No, it's wrong. So the union is basically a consultative group, an interface group, a mediation group between its member and any aspect or factor that tends to be at loggerhead with her interests.
Let's look at the role of union, because a topic what we're looking at today is nation building, articulating the role of unionism. That's our topic for the day. As it is right now, when you talk about nation building, what role do unions play in nation building? Do they play any role at all?
A very important role. The union are major factors or major agents of the society. It acts as development drive or the development agent of any society. And it also acts as a social control agent of the society, ranging from peer groups, peer ideological development, and also policy formulations. So the union has a critical role to play in nation building, which cannot be it cannot be overemphasized.
Let me get to know what you talked about consultation, okay? Then you talked about confrontation. Have there been any time that your union did a consultation that resulted to a positive impact that actually led to national development?
Most of the times we operate on consultation because the first ladder in the struggle is consultation. And when you consult, you'll see that many things will be unveiled, not necessarily the evil people perceive it is, and getting more understanding before getting more understanding of the case as it may be. For example, there was a time when, most times when you hear school increase school fees, there's increments in school fees, hiking this, hiking that, the first thing we don't just go to the institutions to lock down the institution, to go on protest or so. No, we first of all engage the school management. We engage the school management to know what is the cause of it, of the problem, what necessitated the hike in school fees or the increment in school fees. Then when we and the school management sit down and we look at it, it's necessarily maybe because of economic changes, introduction of some fees into the payment modes, and so when we get a better understanding of this, we can now look for how to get a balance between the students and the management. You see, most crises that we get is lack of improper or uncooked informations that are spread across from the originating source, maybe through grapevines or other forms, maybe for the purpose of gaining public attention also, which consultation to me and in the general course of conflict resolution is the best and the first step to take in any situation.
Let's get to look at the challenges that these unions faced. Because you got started by talking about the trade union, you talked about the labor union, you talked about the student union. In a bid, because one of the things that people feel these unions should do is also checkmate the activities of the people in governance, apart from just like we heard yesterday, even though there was a counter response from National Association of Nigerian Students concerning the protest against the appointment of the new coach of the Super Eagles, even though Nan said there was nothing like that. Now, let's look at checkmating the activities of people in governance, all right? Apart from protecting the interests of the union members, do we have anything like that?
The case of the NFF, I think, to me, is strange for NANS to wake up and start, prognosing into the affairs of the NFF. But it is also better since there's a counter press regarding that. You see, NFF as a body, yes, it's an arm of the government, it's a system of the government, and the union is also an agent for national building. But there are limitations at times to operations. I don't think it is duly right for the National Association of Nigerian Students to go as far as meddling into the decision of the NFF, because I think there are good heads in the NFF that have sat down to do the recruitment or appointment process of the person in question. And also thank the proactive measures of those who have given the clarification or the counter press. You see, it may be rising from maybe personal issues,
Comrade, let's get something now. Comrade, what I'm trying to say is this. Is it okay, or is it proper, or part of the union's maybe constitution to interfere in governance if things are not going on the way it should be for Nigerians and not just for the union members alone?
Yes, because the union is also a major factor in national building, like you have rightly said. And when we raise our voices, it is being heard by those in at the helm of power constructively, and when it's in line with the ideology. You see, national development is not only at a phase; it is a secular. It is a secular movement that encompasses every person's. And from the student angle, as the ideological and educated elites of the society, young and the pillars of the nation, it is mandatory that when we see something that are not going in line with the norms and the ideology of the government, we'll call the government's attention to it, especially when it affects the welfare and well-being of innocent Nigerians, which majorly it will affect the students at large.
Very much. I don't know. Do you have interference? All right. Maybe let me just say the challenges. What are the challenges unions face, especially unions that are maybe anti-politics, that are not always in support of things that are not good enough for the average Nigerians? Have there been any challenges, or are there challenges?
Yeah, certainly in every aspect of life, it is faced with challenges. And the union is not a perfect setting that will live without challenges. The student union, to be specific, are non-political organizations that operates on a free flow. But in recent times, you have tribalism setting in, political affiliations, low budgets or low fundings for the organization, because practically the student union is a non-governmental organization. So funding is also a major issue to the actualizations of goals, principles, and objectives, as the case may be. So we have lots of challenges, and these are some, not exclusively all.
Oh, okay. Finally, before I let you go, I just want to establish something. Do you have relationship with bigger unions like the labor union and the trade union in carrying out certain activities like protests and strike actions?
Yes, we have a robust relationship, but it depends on how the situation that comes along with it. You see, when we are all unions, but the scopes of operation of everyone differs. Like when we were on ASUP strike, the 7 months ASUP strike the last time, I think the labor union also, in collaboration with the student union, organized a statewide protest, a nationwide protest that each states were mobilized to protest along with the student union to solidarize with the student bodies and demand for the needs of ASUP. I think shortly after then, the demands were looked into and the agreements were reached. You see, as union members, we are all comrades in struggle, and we look out for ourselves. But generally, the scopes of operation of the labor union, trade union differs from that of the student union entirely. And when you see it, you see the labor union tends or basically speaks or agitates for the interest of those who are already in service. Majorly, those who are in service. But you see, the student union will speak for both those who are in school, the undergraduates, the graduates who are unemployed, and the youths. So it is more cumbersome for the student union to speak for this entirety of persons, especially looking at the number of persons under this umbrella. You see, the unemployed sector is where the student union comes in, and we are the major critical stakeholder, especially when it relates to nation building. So that's why you see student union always agitating for major issues that affect the welfare of the citizens. Proportion of the citizens of the country are the youth.
Ask this final question. Are there things, all right, are there things that happens in the union that maybe, because in every union there are always factions, all right? Most times there are factions, people who didn't support a particular candidate, but now the candidate is in office. People like that sometimes try to sabotage the activities of the union. In a situation like that, how do you resolve such issues? Is it the school management that intervene? And do you normally have challenges from the school management?
Like the unions, you see, most of our schools manage their crisis, but where faction always occur is mostly at the national bodies. But it is not only peculiar to the student union alone. Even political parties do have faction, and it is all based on ideology and behavioral setting. Like, yes, it is not also for we to dispute that the student union is not engulfed in this issue of faction. The issue of faction, to me, it's all-encompassing, both from the actors and the script writers. We want to, I think it is also time, because the election of the National Association of Nigerian Students, to be precise, is coming up, and it's time for us to also look into on how we can ameliorate, if not totally, to a barest minimum, this issue of faction. Because it takes, it is a behavioral factor, like I said, and also external influence. External influence ranging from those who do not understand the struggle, bringing in persons or wanting to produce members of the executive council or members of the union, and along the line it does not go down well with the persons. So they encourage a division in the system, which is not practically right, morally right. So it is just a matter of the conscience, behavior, and understanding that power belongs to God, and it takes only one person to become to own a seat for a meantime. So I think the issue of faction is a behavioral and external case that we must all come together to accept and chart a way forward. And we also call on external bodies and regulating bodies to come into it to settle, if possible, because it's possible. I think in the National Association of Polytechnic Students, over 10 years, we've been having crisis of faction, but in the last election where I emerged as the secretary, we could have a united umbrella, a united association to say, okay, this issue of faction should be laid to rest. And I think if other union bodies can learn from the approach of NAPS, the National Association of Polytechnic Students, it would be a better one for us as a nation, as a body, and as a major factor of nation building that we are.
Comrade Agada Noah, for adding your voice to the conversation today. Nation building is what we are looking at, and of course the role of unionism, articulating the role of unionism. Thank you very much for joining us on Global Morning today.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
All right, this is the much we will be having on the first conversations today, as we have already looked at a nation building, as we have actually talked about. Nation building is the role of everyone. If you're setting up a union, setting up any body, apart from the individual benefit and, of course, the primary goal of the association, we should also know that we are in a nation. We can only exist in any nation when there is peace, when there is security, when the people are living well, when the average Nigerian can always go to bed with their two eyes closed. So let's contribute. Let's put all heads on deck to make Nigeria a great nation. Now we'll go on a quick break. After the break, we'll return for the second conversation as we have an expert join us when we talk about the next topic. Stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues,
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues,
And at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range and the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Well, one very important thing in politics is the opposition, the power of opposition. In every civilized world, we see oppositions. Anywhere there is an election, anywhere there is an interest, we normally hear of oppositions. But then, how vital is the existence of opposition as far as governance is concerned? Political development, opposition politics, okay, as a factor. That's our topic of discussion for today. And joining me on the conversation is my guest, who is already seated right here, Dr. Oke Ezugwu. He is a lawyer and a public affairs analyst. It's good to have you in the studio this morning.
Thank you.
Happy New Year. Yes, I've not seen you're looking very fresh this New Year. You know,
I went to the countryside.
Yeah, well, no wonder, no wonder. So all of us should prepare and go get to the countryside,
I went to the countryside
next year.
To free them.
That's good.
And of course, the other attractions, palm wine and the rest of them.
Oh my God. All right, as a matter of fact, it's good to have all of you join us on the conversation today as we look at very important things, political development, and we're looking at opposition politics as a factor. Every nation, especially in Nigeria, in every election, there are always oppositions. Like we have the APC as the sitting government right now. We have the PDP, we have the Labour Party, we have NNPP, we have the Action Congress, and a whole lot of other parties who are oppositions. But then there is something that Nigerians will always think of when you mention opposition. The first thing that comes to their mind is PDP, because the People's Democratic Party was actually in power for 16 years before APC came into office. Right now, let's talk about this a little bit. Do you see opposition importance in governance?
Yes, of course. Without opposition, it will be a free day for the parties. It's always like that in every political climate. Their roles are there. I mean, the moment you don't have a vibrant opposition, then you're risking a situation where government does what it wants. It doesn't matter how the people feel about it. They don't care to account for anybody. They don't feel the pulse of anybody. It's only the opposition politics, opposition political parties that reminds them that, look, you owe us a responsibility. You owe us a responsibility. It's an obligation. The people elected you there, and this is what we expect from you. It's the opposition party that tells them that. Because it looks like the Nigerian political climate is a theater of the absurd. You know, when people get into the seat of power, it looks like all their projections prior to the elections and their winning and all of that becomes the thing wipes away from their brain. And that's where the opposition political parties need to be handy to keep reminding them that you all account for us. We need good governance from you. You must tell us exactly what you're doing. You must be transparent in your actions. There must be checks and balances. And it is only the opposition political parties that can do that.
But have we really had results from opposition in the past? Have they actually put any government on their toes in the past? Have we had results in the past from opposition parties?
Well, like I said earlier, the Nigerian political scene is a theater of the absurd because the political actors don't even appear to know what it takes to be. Many of them actually don't know why they're in politics. Then you need to identify why you're in politics, either through the ideology you profess or any other belief system you profess. And then you now say, okay, let me get into politics to be able to say, okay, sell this idea, stand by it, project it, push for it, so that by the time you get into government, it becomes an institution, institutionalize it. But we're not having it in our own system. What we're having here, there are too many masquerades, in the system. Today somebody comes up to be talks socialism, or he wants you to believe that he cares so much for the masses. Tomorrow he's the other side talking. Somebody tells you today he's a civil rights activist, without prejudice to the contribution of the civil society to what we are doing, whatever is happening in the country. We've seen situations where even people who profess to be activists, come up with all manner of theories and all that. But the moment you give them a position in government, the game changes. So to that extent, it becomes a situation where you can't really say whether there is opposition politics, because they double talk at the same time. Somebody says something this year, next year he's saying another thing. Those who played part in the politics of 2009 to 2015, obviously the PDP years. Today, many of them are in APC. Today, some of them are in other parties, projecting whatever. So there are too many masquerades there. They don't even know their ideology. They don't know what they are professing. Many of them are in politics because they feel it's about the profession or occupation that any charlatan can just get in there. And then when you get in there and you begin to make more noise and all of that, you probably will be recognized and you begin to have spaces in government. But beyond that, if we are looking at it from the point of real politics, I can tell you practically that we are not having opposition in real times. Yes.
All right, we are not having a position in real times. You talked about the issue of people in PDP, now in APC and all of that. The issue of cross-carpeting, moving from one political party to the other. Do you see it as a challenge in our political system?
It's a very big challenge. It's a very big challenge because when you look at other jurisdictions, you have the US, for instance, you have UK, Russia, China, and some other countries where you have stable democracies. What we see here is that whether election is taking place or not, the parties are there, functioning. It doesn't matter whether there's an election to prosecute. You can't say the same thing with our own now, where as soon as election takes place, the parties go to sleep. Now the space will be there for only the political, the winners now, to parade themselves. Now, when it is about a year or two to the next election, now they'll start assembling again to prosecute the next election, and after that they go away again. So what I'm saying is, just like everything Nigerian, where we don't have strong institutions, and when we don't crave for it, because those in government who are today in government should crave for strong institutions, because it is not likely that they will be there over the years or remain there forever. Just like the PDP had their own baptism the other time. So, if we have a strong institution whereby whether we have an election or not to prosecute, the parties are functioning. Obviously, these defections you are talking about will not be there. And like I said earlier, the politicians themselves are confused because they don't even know where they belong. That is the only reason why somebody who professes to be a Labour Party enthusiast, for instance, jumps up tomorrow and join conservative groups like any other. Because the Labour movement has a history. The leaders of Labour unionism are embedded, they are out there in public spaces. And it's expected that before you come out and say, okay, I'm a Labour Party man or something, you already must have imbibed some of the tenets of those ingredients. And when you get them, whether you are suffering, and in fact, as far as I'm concerned, staking out your neck, whether you're suffering or not, even at the risk of being hungry or your family going hungry or your circle going hungry, just to make sure that you project all those things you believe in. That is one of the things that we should be looking at. Not just a situation where the moment a party loses an election, half of the number moves to the next. So what are they telling us exactly? As a matter of fact, that is why many Nigerian politicians don't have respect. Don't have respect. Secondly, there is clear absence of internal democracy. They don't have it. You need to know what democracy means before you begin to walk around it and you need to institutionalize it. Whereby somebody is looking up to a governor to decide who becomes what. Local government chairman, councillorship, or whatever. Member of the House of Assembly. If the governor is not backing you, you can't win a ordinary primary, no matter how popular you are. It's the same thing at the center too. Everybody is claiming to have the eye of the Mr. President. Oh, I'm with you, Mr. President. I'm working more than every other person for you. Oh, I'm going to deliver. I'm all that and all that. Even at the risk of sacrificing everything civil.
All right. You said something about the fact that political parties go to sleep when elections are over. Is there anything that can be done constitutionally to say, okay, let me just put it this way. How would it look like if it's been said that any political party that does not stand the test of time, standing the test of time that I mean is whether there is an election or not, you need to be up and doing. We need to fill your purse all through the period of governance of the ruling party. Is there anything that you think can be done to make sure these parties are active? Because about 18 to 21 political parties that we have, even when you go to the ballots, you just see the major parties. You know, even though there are ballot boxes, you just see the major parties, the APC, PDP, Labour Party came up this election in 2023, and it was also there in NNPP and all that. So is there anything that can be done? Or do you think it's even necessary to make them stay up and doing even when there is nothing happening, when they don't have portfolio, when they don't have funding and all of that? Is it possible? Is it sustainable?
I'm saying you can only drag a willing horse. When a horse decides he's not going anywhere, well, you probably will force it to. But that does not change the dynamics of that movement, which is that he doesn't want to go. Now, we're having a situation where our politicians are just there. There's no discipline among them. A lot of them, not a lot of them now. I won't exaggerate. Many of them don't have shame. The value system attached to political office holding is such that the more other activities, more activities around them, the better it appears, the public appreciates them more. Especially when poverty alleviation things are coming to them, no matter how it happens, whether it is their money, the money allocated to them, their projects have been used to buy those things for them, it doesn't really matter to them.
Because there is hunger, probably.
Yes, and of course this hunger thing is a political weapon which appears to have crept into our system practically. Look at what happened during the Christmas. Every politician was comfortable buying rice, buying this, distributing to the people, and what's the quantity they were distributing? If you give a family of 5 a bag of rice, you've just kick-started a hunger strike, because within a few days, it's gone. And then they will be back to square one. What the money we are talking about, they're all masquerading around, trying to make everybody believe that they care so much for the people. Can't they really galvanize this fund and think of things that can generate employment, like factories, industries, SMEs, and small areas like that? But because all their thoughts are on elections, they're not bothered about any other thing. It's election. Even all they did during the Christmas, they were distributing. The same thing will happen during Salah. They will still do the same thing. It is geared towards bribing the electors for elections. It's not as if they care so much for them. It's not as if they care. And because, like I said, our politicians are so gullible. For all they care, it is survival. It is survival. Political survival. They don't care what anybody thinks about them. Today you are holding a meeting, a political meeting. You say you are probably SDP, you are holding a political meeting. And then you are the leader of the party in your ward, for instance. After about 1 year or 2 after an election, you jump ship to the next political party. And you start holding meetings with another political party and their supporters. And that's always not the end of the game, because the moment you start jumping, you keep jumping. You could still jump the next one. But the question you ask yourself is, how are we, the electorates ourselves, how are we viewing such politicians who do such things? We don't care, as long as something is coming out from there. Look, if you want to rent 1 million people now, if you have the fund, just go out there. Before the next 30 minutes, all over the place. And that is what the politicians are enjoying, and that is what they have made up their mind to do. People, since you don't have at all, just like you woke up this morning and you don't have 1 naira to eat. And all of a sudden somebody say, take this 3,000 naira, go and stand at Use Market there. Chances that you say no is not there. So the distortions are so much, and they are being institutionalized deliberately, of course. Not as if it's an accident of fate, no?
Do you see PDP and Labour Party really giving APC a run for their money? Are they good position? Are they carrying out, because that the other parties are sleeping? At least Atiku has been talking, Peter Obi has been talking, and of course APC on their own part has been countering whatever it is they are saying. Do you see APC, PDP, I beg your pardon, and Labour Party really giving APC a run for their money? Are they doing a good opposition, the assignment of opposition party? Your thoughts?
Well, let me conjecture a little bit. First of all, because of the nature of our politicians, that's why I came up with this idea that they are not disciplined. And they don't have shame. Are you getting me? Imagine if you are approached today, for instance, if there is a political, if all of us from a political party now, and we say, okay, we're about 200 of us. And then we have a meeting today and say, okay, we are going to do a protest, or we are going to say something that, of course, that is not going to favor the government, which government will definitely not like or something. By the time the government gets to hear about this, you know the next thing that will happen? All they need to do is call 1, 2, 3, 4 of the people that attended that meeting Mr. President or Mr. Governor or Mr. Chairman or this person want to see you, and that says it. Call the meeting tomorrow. Another meeting tomorrow. You're not likely going to see half of that number. That crossed over already. So with that kind of scenario, so where do we really start at when we talk of opposition politics? Because government or the party in power can effectively and completely decimate a political party by ensuring that there is no meeting point among the members. They always factionalize. Yeah, it doesn't take anything to factionalize. In the days of social network, two people can just gather and raise, go into a press conference and then start a story. And before you know it, the courts are there. They will go to court and begin to challenge one or two things. And before you know it, they start appointing their own chairman and all that. And the papers will be reporting them. Are you getting me? And as long as those issues are in court, of course the courts must adjudicate over whatever is before them. Court will say no. And those behind the shadow directors will be behind funding all the crises here and there. And that's why it looks like we don't have stable opposition. So assuming the opposition parties are in good stead and their backers or their managers knows what they are doing, they will have been able to say, look, this thing you are giving me or this thing you are offering me, I will not take it. Because of what? Because of the interest of my party and interest of the Nigerian public. Well, they don't have such in their brain. They don't. Just personal survival. That is the problem. So if that, going to your question practically, if you are talking about whether PDP or Labour Party, whether they are providing an opposition, well, to an extent, yes, because at least once in a while we hear some, somebody projecting something that looks like an alternative solution to what we have on ground. You understand? Now, whether the government is taking it is another thing. And the way another government reacts to it is a completely different thing too. Because in a healthy environment, when an opposition party comes around and say, hey, come on, you are doing this wrong, you are doing this wrong, you are doing this. What you do is not attack. What you do is to convince whoever, either the political party or the people who are projecting all those options, that look, what you're saying is wrong, and this is why we are saying this. And begin to adumbrate on all those, talk about them, so that people will begin to appreciate you, not attacking the person. You know, we've had a lot of drama in the last few days about, one or two cases like that. And it's not right for our democracy.
And it's not right for our democracy. Then let's look at this administration. What's your assessment of this administration, a holistic assessment of this administration? Because I know everyone have different perspective of this administration. As a matter of fact, the president in his speech, in his chat, in January, beginning the year, he has said a lot of things. And even the coordinating minister of the economy, until today, is still saying the economy is picking up. Some economists have said, well, we are on the right track. Some other persons have said, hey, come on, we are not getting it right. IMF, World Bank, your suggestions are not in line with what our economy, the language our economy is speaking. And these are different perspectives from different experts and stakeholders. On your own part, what do you think generally of this administration?
Well, I like the optimism that the present government, the government is expressing. That we should be looking forward to something better. It's not unexpected anyway for any government. Of course, you can't wake up and tell Nigerians that all these things we are doing that we are not going to get anything out of it. So if to the extent that they are expressing optimism, fine and good. But I'm only worried about the facts on the ground. Like I told you, some of us went to the countryside during the holidays, and the situation is something else. You understand? There is hunger in the land. You see, academic drama on televisions and the rest of them, most cases don't transform to real things, when it has to do with the welfare of the people. I'm not writing off what government is doing. Like I said, I appreciate the optimism. And like every war general, which the Mr. President is marshalling out his plans and all that, and he's making us to believe that we are getting somewhere. Well, let's see, let's wait and see. It will be difficult for me to begin to assess them on the basis of developmental strides or something. But my problem is that democracy appears to be going down the drain in the country. That is where I am much more worried. The components of the ruling party from 2014 or thereabout, when the party was formed and all that, they showed every flash of a democratically organized group and people who are out there to make sure that in a couple of years Nigeria will go to places and our democracy will become institutionalized in real terms. That's the impression I had, and of course I am sure many people had that impression. Well, I must tell you that not many still stand by that position. Government appears very intolerant of positions. People are not really saying what they want to say. The agents of states appears, some of them, so to say, appears to have become part of some of the parties, as it were, and are exhibiting their some of their idiosyncrasies openly in a manner that ordinarily shouldn't be. Excuse me. I'm thinking that a democratic general like Mr. President should be able to, galvanize a lot of so much political goodwill that will ensure that by the time he finishes his tenure, either this time or wherever, that Nigeria would have had a very strong institution and very strong institutions, so that the kind of distortions and jumbled arrangements we are witnessing every day here will become a thing of the past. Because if he fails to achieve that, I'm sorry, all the time he spent in the jungle fighting, military rule, fighting authoritarian rules and all of them, would have become pretentious. That's what I feel. But he has the capacity to do what I've just said, if he decides to do it.
He has the capacity to do what he has just said, and it's a turnaround process. It's something that can be done and achievable. But then when we talk about opposition, most opposition comes from parties, or maybe civil society organizations, Nigerians, unions can also come as opposition.
Well, it doesn't have to be from the political parties. It can be from any citizen. Any citizen can wake up, and if you feel that something is wrong, or even when things are right, you can commend the government. And then if you think government should strengthen their position to get it better, you can as well suggest that to government. It's still part of the...
But would they hear? That's where the problem is.
That's a different ball game now. Now, the opposition generally, the truth, I must be honest to you, is that a lot of persons, so many people are scared. Even those who have the best knowledge, who are ready to offer their services, most cases they enter. At a stage there was this idea that hey, those elites, academics, professors, the rest of them, doctors and the rest of them, that they should get into political parties thinking that it will change anything. None of them got in there. But the problem is that by the time you get in there, you will be confronting a group of persons who are not as literate as you are, but who have capacity, especially when it has to do with finances, and makes it impossible for you to contribute to anything. 2, the conduct of the so-called academic or whatever, the professors and the rest of them, their conduct, even when some of them were given positions in government, like we've seen situations where many of them got enmeshed in controversies surrounding elections and all of that. Some of them were returning officers in elections, some of them were whatever in elections, and many of them ended up disappointing themselves and making a mockery of whatever credibility or integrity you think that somebody who went to school could have.
Well, I think I love the aspect when you say they disappointed themselves and not
themselves, not Nigerians. They disappointed themselves.
All right, they disappointed themselves and not Nigerians. Well, it's been a very beautiful time. It's still Global Morning right here, and the discourse is still on. I have my guest in the studio right here, and we're looking at something very important. In politics, so many things happen. But then, before I let you go, we're rounding up now. As far as the judicial system is concerned in Nigeria, the judiciary became very popular after the 2023 election. Not that the judiciary is not popular in Nigeria, but then the popularity became very, very high after the 2023 election, where we even had a slogan: if you don't want it, go to court. Now, how would you say, well, the judiciary, how well have they done so far as it has to do with opposition? Because the judiciary, they said, is the last hope of the common man. So the judiciary should not also fold their arms when things are going wrong in governance that is affecting the people negatively. So what's your assessment of the judiciary as far as opposition and governance is concerned?
Well, as a lawyer, I must tell you that what the public really see, sometimes perception in the public, most cases, they are not things you see in the courts. You understand? The public, most cases, as a lawyer I'm talking about now, most cases, the public have their idea that, oh, this person won an election, this person lost an election, or this person this. They will have conjectured every other thing. They will have packaged themselves, made up their mind that this is the way it is. So if he goes to court, if that matter goes to court and he fails to go their way, of course they will say the judiciary has compromised. Are you getting me now? 2, there are facts. I mean, judges actually, or anybody who is adjudicating over a matter, works with whatever he's able to see on his table. It's not what he hears, because in most cases you don't expect them to go into the arena to begin to make inquiries about what exactly happened. Is it true that this man won or lost? Is it true that whatever misgiving or whatever you have as an evidence, either for or against, should be something you package very well, lay the foundation very well, and then put it before the courts. Having said that, and that is to say that is what the court will be concerned about, not whatever happened outside, which of course the public will always have their opinion. You understand? Having said that, I mean, just like every institution in Nigeria, there's no way you can get 100% mark in terms of the performance of judges. You must have a situation where, like human beings, some of them might get distracted, in quotes, and then begin to do what they think or convinced they ought to do. If there's any external factor that is propelling them to do that, well, I'm not in a position to say now. But like I said, every judge has a right to give judgment based on what is before him or her. Whether that whatever he gives is good enough for the public who thinks he should go the other way is a different ballgame. But like as I said, human beings, that's why, let me tell you, have you imagined that we have magistrate courts, we have high courts, we have court of appeal, we have Supreme Court. Those that structured this were not stupid. They knew what they were doing. And that is to ensure that at every stage, it is expected that this matter should go from one ladder to the other, so that if there is any slip from this side, the other one should be able to, repackage it. And that's how it is until we get to the Supreme Court that now has the final word on it. That is not even to say that they are not God. The Supreme Court, they are human beings too. And they are using the same brain you're using. So it's not a must. You can't say categorically that the Supreme Court itself cannot even have a slip. And that is why sometimes over time you see them overruling themselves over a position they have taken in the past, and then the matter come up, the same matter, probably material facts come up again, and you see them now coming up to say, okay, in 1980 it used to be this. Now we think it should be this. That's why the human beings too. You understand? So it will be difficult for anyone to come and say the judiciary have done this and no. You can't write them off. For what?
All right. The judiciary, some Nigerians believe, is no longer the hope of the common man, the last hope of the common man. But he is saying, doctor is saying, well, whether you like it or not, what you see inside the court is different from what people, the perspective of people, the perception of people outside the court. It's so nice having you on Global Morning today. Thank you for coming. Time is up already. We can't continue the conversation, but it has been a very wonderful time. And of course, this is the size of the program this morning. It's been Global Morning, and of course we have other programs lined up for you this weekend. It is Saturday, of course, and we want to wish you a very wonderful weekend. My name is Ramsey Enoch. Thanks for keeping a date with us. Bye-bye for now.
Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted with
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
When you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle with the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.